Hello, my name is Melissa Lark, and I'd like to take you on my learning journey for EDL 626, Adult Learning. When I was first tasked with keeping a learning journal for this class, I thought, why do we need to do this? And what's in it for me? As we all know by now, adults aren't motivated to do or learn something unless we first understand the why behind it and know how it will immediately impact us. When I saw that our final project would be based on this journal and telling the class about our learning journey, I decided that was good enough for me, and I grabbed a notebook and pen and embarked on my journey. After the first week of keeping my learning journal, I realized that I Google everything. I was on Google researching something every single day. I'm not sure how I didn't really realize this before. I was in there diagnosing illnesses, looking up recipes, finding home repair costs. I could go on, but I'm sure you're getting the idea. It was nice to see that I'm not alone in this, however. After reading Chapter 10, I learned that every day, 20 million people are visiting Google. That is simply amazing. A majority of my informal learning was being done online, but I was also learning informally in other ways. In fact, probably more ways than I remembered to jot down in my learning journal. As the weeks went on, I realized that there were some roadblocks on my journey, and that it wasn't always easy for me to keep up with my writing in my journal. But thinking back, there were tons of informal learning opportunities that I could have included. There were times when I met with my mentor at work, and she provided me with some great tips for working in storyline, or when she suggested that I utilize storytelling more in my facilitation. Also, I learned a lot from just hanging out with my family. My 4th grade son told me all about the presidents the other day, and my 6th grade son discussed what he had been learning about the health triangle at school. Also, during my son's football game, I learned what down-ups are. I also learned that no one on the team really seemed to enjoy them very much. They were actually very happy when they were over. I even learned something while I was taking my dog for a walk the other day, and that was that I should not text while trying to walk the dog. My point to these stories is that really all of these instances were learning opportunities, but most I did not include in my journal. I either didn't have my journal with me, or I didn't really connect that these were all learning moments. So what did I take away from this? Well, this made me realize that I am constantly learning, and that I'm learning a lot. I always assumed that learning was constant, but I never really realized it until I tried to write everything down. There is so much informal learning happening every single day. So I started to think about what was my biggest takeaway from keeping this learning journal, and what did I really learn about my learning journey. The majority of entries in my journal were centered around what I was learning about adult learning throughout this course. I really tended to focus on the activities and the readings, as I was motivated to jot down what I was taking away from these, as it helps me to increase my knowledge transfer when I write things out. Reflecting on these journal entries definitely helped me to retain what I had learned. So now that I know more about adult learning, my thoughts started to shift to, what am I going to do with this new knowledge? I am going to use my new knowledge to update and improve my training courses at work. So I'd like to share some of my plans. And these include, I plan to implement more collaboration in my trainings. Collaboration is a key instructional approach for adult learning. This will help to develop teamwork skills and create a sense of community within the classroom. This will help to reduce the trainer-centered approach and give the students a voice and promote their creativity and reflection on meaning. I plan to implement more self-directed learning. Knowing that adults want to take responsibility for themselves and they have a need to be perceived in a certain way by others, and thus not wanting to have a teacher tell them what to do, without having any say in the matter. The need for more self-direction in their learning makes sense. I plan to implement more discussions about life experiences. Sometimes life experiences can get in the way of learning, when someone is either set in their ways or maybe not open to new ideas because they think they know the material already. However, more often than not, it is a resource for learning, and it allows the learner to feel more connected to the curriculum and the training. I also plan to implement different activities into my classes, based on the different learning styles. Tailoring the training delivery will allow for all learners, so the visual learner, the auditory learner, and the kinesthetic learner, to better understand and retain the information. Understanding how adults learn is key in training classes, and I plan on utilizing the Barsh Learning Styles Inventory to get an idea of what type of learners my students are. All learners have different backgrounds, preferences, and styles. As a trainer, it is important to be knowledgeable of this and to offer students options and be flexible in order to have a mutually beneficial learning relationship. With the knowledge I have obtained throughout this learning journey, I know that I will be able to improve upon my facilitation skills, and the real reward will be happier, more engaged, and more motivated learners. Thank you so much for listening, and happy learning.